8 months pregnant, my husband was drugged at a business dinner. Afraid of disturbing my sleep, I heard he drank 18 buckets of ice water over several consecutive nights to counteract the drug's effects. Everyone in our circle praised my good fortune, saying I'd found a self-respecting good husband. He'd rather suffer himself than disrupt my peaceful slumber. It wasn't until after I gave birth that I discovered my husband's 4 female assistants had all become pregnant, one after another. I remembered they were all single and found the coincidence too strange. I was just about to discuss with my husband about giving them time off. However, my mother-in-law was overjoyed. She took them to live in my Seaview villa. My son is capable, and it's a blessing to be able to bear his children. Anyone who is carrying our Jew family's golden grandson naturally deserves to live here and have a good rest during their pregnancy. It was then that I suddenly understood. Ju Yanzhou had used this method to counteract the aphrodisiac. Seeing my ashen face, Ju Yanzhou knelt before me, his eyes red. Momo, I felt bad that you were heavily pregnant and it was inconvenient for you to help me with the antidote. So I used someone else as a release. I swear it was just an accident, but since you're pregnant, I have to take responsibility. I promise you, even if the child outside is born, it will only be illegitimate and will absolutely not shake your and our daughter's status, okay? I nodded and handed him a divorce agreement. Then sign it, and let's get divorced first. Back then my parents arranged a marriage for me, and the intended fiancé was Song Jin, the crown prince of the Beijing circle. He was the penniless assistant, Ju Yanzhou, whom I fell for at first sight. Seeing his ambition and extraordinary bearing, I decided to marry him. I even gave him 200 million as a dowry to help him soar in the business world. On our wedding night, Ju Yanzhou with red eyes swore that I would be his only one, and he would never betray me. I never expected that he would be involved with 4 female assistants behind my back. And he even got them all pregnant at the same time. Ju Yanzhou's eyes turned red and he tightly clutched the divorce agreement, raising his hand to tear it to shreds. No, I won't divorce you. He trembled as he pulled me into his embrace, as if afraid of losing me. Momo, or Soulmates. Do you remember how much effort it took for us to get here? I swore you're the only woman who will ever be my wife. Those 4 assistants getting pregnant was also an accident. My mother has always wanted a grandchild, so she rashly brought all 4 of them back to the seaside villa. Don't worry, I'll send them away after they give birth. It will absolutely not affect your position as Mrs. Ju. I remained silent, but Ju Yanzhou grew more agitated as he spoke. If you don't like it, I'll give them a day off. They won't be parading in front of you, okay? Such a humble plea made me seem like a wicked woman, deserving of all condemnation. I looked at the 4 of them with a sorrowful gaze. Zhou Ying, Xiaozu, Lin Chu, Dongzhu Zhao. They were interns I hired when I first started my business, and now they are Ju Yanzhou's assistants. I personally recruited them too. We've known each other for years and we're like sisters. I had originally planned to find a suitable cocktail party to introduce them to boyfriends they would like. But I never expected that in the blink of an eye, they would all be pregnant with my husband's children. Their bellies were all swollen. It had been 2 or 3 months, and not a single person had mentioned what happened that night to me. Ju Yanzhou quickly signaled his 4 assistants to plead with me. They knelt before me with a thud. President Su, we beg you to take us 4 in. We followed you right after graduation, and now we're pregnant. If you don't agree to let us stay with the Ju family, we'll just throw ourselves against a wall and die. We can't go on living. The speaker was Zhou Ying, a woman of high emotional intelligence and meticulousness, the confidant of my startup. Yet now she was leading the charge, pressuring me to agree. With a calm expression I cupped her chin. Zhou Ying, you know me best. Do you remember what I detest the most? Zhou Ying's face paled slightly and she stammered. It's single quotes s. Never tolerating betrayal. Growing up in the wealthy Su family, my father's repeated infidelities led my mother to attempt suicide multiple times, ultimately dying of a broken heart. I was accustomed to my father's philandering. I had seen too many women vying for favor and engaging in deceitful schemes to marry into a rich family. They were like flowers in full bloom on a spring day. Yet to fight over a man, she transformed into a hideous, scheming woman. Every year on my birthday, my wish was to marry someone who would be devoted to me. This is also why, when the arranged marriage was proposed, I unhesitatingly gave up the notorious crown prince of the Beijing elite, and chose Zhu Yanzhou, who was penniless. I forced myself to keep my expression calm, since you know full well that I would never tolerate another woman bearing my husband's child. Why do you kneel and pressure me? Xia Zhu's eyes reddened at her words, and she made a move as if to smash her head against the wall. Since President Su refuses to let us in, we have no face left to show. We might as well die here today by smashing our heads against this wall. As soon as she shouted, Lin Chu and Dong Zhaozhao followed suit. Her mother-in-law's face changed drastically, and she hurriedly stopped them, her eyes coldly mocking me. Su Qianmo, how can you be so vicious? You yourself are useless, giving birth to a money-losing product. And you actually want to kill my 4 precious grandchildren alive? Don't think you can do whatever you want just because you're the only daughter of the Su family. Since you've married into our GU family, you're one of us. I'm telling you today, let my son raise those 4 girls. It's not like we can't afford it. If you still disagree, you're being disobedient and unfilial. I tugged at the corner of my mouth and slowly stood up. Mother-in-law, what are you saying? How would I dare to be disobedient? I also said, if Zhu Yanzhou insists on keeping them, I will agree. I had another copy of the divorce agreement printed and placed it before Zhu Yanzhou again. All he needs to do is sign it. Zhu Yanzhou's face was ashen, devoid of any color. His hand trembled as he hesitated, refusing to take it. Momo, please don't make this difficult for me. I suppressed the sourness in my heart. Before I could speak, the sound of Nanan crying loudly came from outside. The nanny held the child and asked me to comfort her. Zhu Yanzhou's gaze lingered on Nanan, a flicker in his eyes, and he suddenly became agitated. Momo, even for Nanan's sake, we can't divorce. You've always loved children. Can you bear to let our daughter grow up without a mother? To be a child from a single-parent family? I interrupted him coldly. You're wrong, it's about not having a father. If we divorce, I will definitely take Nanan back to the Su family. And you don't need to worry about it. After the divorce, I'll find Nanan a good father she'll be perfectly happy with. I turned to leave, holding the child. Zhu Yanzhou's knuckles turned white from the force, and he trembled as he gripped my wrist. Qianmo, I'm begging you. I never betrayed you. Someone drugged me. It was really just an accident. His pained tone made me pause. In the years since our marriage, Zhu Yanzhou had been a model of virtue, never associating with strange women, and rarely staying out all night. I closed my eyes. There's a second option. What is it? Zhu Yanzhou's eyes rekindled with hope. I spoke slowly, word by word, then let them abort the children. That way they can remarry, and I'll turn a blind eye, pretending this never happened. Compared to this undercooked rice, this was already the biggest concession I could make. Zhu Yanzhou's brows furrowed fiercely, his eyes filled with hesitation. But my mother-in-law slapped me across the face. Su Qianmo, you truly are a jinx. Not only did I give birth to a money-losing product myself, but you also want my 4 precious grandsons to be aborted. How vicious you are. My mother-in-law had always wanted a precious grandson. That day, seeing that I had given birth to a daughter, she spat fiercely and cursed me for bringing bad luck. But how was this my fault? I looked at her calmly, my heart feeling as if it were pierced by thousands of silver needles, and I tightened my grip on my daughter. Nene noticed I was being beaten and cried even harder. Lin Chu sprang up from the ground. Su Qianmo, you are too vicious. We 4 sisters have followed you for so many years, and you actually want us to abort our children and cut off our retreat? The whole circle is buzzing with it. Everyone knows we are already CEO's women. If the children are aborted and we are kicked out, how will others see us in the future? After all these years working together, how can you be so heartless? As she spoke, Lin Chu pulled Deng Zhaozhao to her knees before the mother-in-law. We are willing to be the junior wives, willing to bear children for the Zhu family. We beg Madame Zhu to be our arbiter. Zhou Ying stared at her in horror. Lin Chu, are you crazy? Mr. Datsu is our boss. I'm not crazy. Didn't you hear what she just said? Let's abort the child. Such a heartless, venomous woman, selfish to the core, utterly disregarding our lives. How can she possibly be our boss? Well said, betraying one's master for personal gain. With a worried expression, Zhou Ying knelt before me. President Su, it's Lin Chu, who's being unreasonable. Please don't be angry. I couldn't bear to accept their bows any longer. You don't have to be like this. Given that we've known each other, I certainly wish you happiness. Whatever path you choose to take in the future is up to you. After speaking, I left, holding Nanan. That evening, my mother-in-law arranged for 4 female assistants to stay in the adjacent Seaview Villa. Originally, Zhu Yanzhou and I had agreed that once the Seaview Villa here was quiet, I would come here to recuperate and recover after giving birth. Unexpectedly, instead of peace, one vexing matter after another came pouring in. The 4 female assistants started squabbling, nearly coming to blows, over who would get the room with the best natural light. I closed my eyes, feigning deafness. Nanan was startled repeatedly tonight and slept very restlessly. I hummed a lullaby as I soothed her. Good girl, just 2 more days, and mommy will take you to see grandpa. For several days, Zhu Yanzhou came to see me, but I avoided him. His 4 assistants also wanted to see me, but I was too emotional and refused, using rest as an excuse. Now I want to go find them to chat. As soon as I reached the 3rd floor, I heard voices discussing inside. Lin Chu, what you said to President Su that day was really inappropriate. Sister Ying, I just think you're old-fashioned. Now that we're carrying President Ji's child, who is nobler than whom? Lin Chu said with a smug look. Didn't you hear old Mrs. Ju say that whoever among us gives her a grandson first will be rewarded with 200 million? That's 200 million. Even if we worked our whole lives, we wouldn't earn that much. Isn't this a golden opportunity to strike it rich? Xiaozu nodded in admiration. However, the most prudent thing to do now is to figure out how to get President Su to agree, so we can live here and carry our pregnancies with peace of mind. President Su has always been ruthless. If she doesn't want us to successfully give birth to these children, she has plenty of ways to stop us. Hearing these words, my heart grew cold by more than half. It turns out they had already decided to take this path. So be it. We've known each other for a while, so I'll grant them their wish. I'll go back and have people bring out tens of millions, which I intend to divide into 4 portions to be given as dowries to the 4 of them. From now on, whether they give birth to children and remarry someone else, still willing to be Zhu Yanzhou's underground lover, it was all their own choices. But just then, the nanny ran over to me in a panic. Mr. Su, something's wrong. Miss ... she single quotes gone. My face turned pale. What did you say? I followed the nanny to the villa's backyard. There I saw Zhou Ying and Dong Zhaozhao peering around beside the peach tree, while Xiaozu and Lin Chu were squatting beneath it, burying something. Zhou Ying commanded with a pained expression, "Hurry up or someone will find out." Seeing the small silver bracelet fall to the ground, my mind went blank, and I rushed forward uncontrollably. What are you burying? My sudden appearance startled them greatly. Zhou Ying looked at me, her face ashen, while Xiaozu stepped forward to block me. President Su, please calm down, we're just burying a dead cat. My hand trembled as I picked up the small silver bracelet from the ground, my eyes bloodshot and my whole body shaking. This is Nanan's bracelet. Why is it here? Xiaozu's eyes darted around and she explained with a smile, Mr. Su, how would we know? Perhaps the nanny was taking Nanan for a walk in the backyard and accidentally dropped it. She deliberately blocked my view with her body, preventing me from seeing what was buried under the peach tree. Move aside. I don't believe it's some dead cat. Pushing aside their obstruction, I stared intently at the freshly dug earth and, without hesitation, rushed forward to claw at it with my bare hands. Midway, they panicked and tried to stop me. I shoved them all away fiercely, until my hands were bloody and raw, digging a deep layer of earth. Finally, Nanan's quiet little face was revealed. I collapsed to the ground in despair, unable to catch my breath. Why? Xiaozu rubbed her nose and mumbled. Mr. Su, please accept my condolences. The young lady had a high fever in the middle of the night and passed away. Impossible! I almost roared. I was holding her when we slept last night. She even smiled at me before going to bed. She was perfectly fine. How could she have a high fever? My hands, stained with mud and blood, trembled as I lifted Nanan up. How quiet she is. As if she were asleep. But how could she have stopped breathing? My tears fell in large drops onto Nanan's face as if she were crying out against the injustice of heaven, crying out against her own tragic death. I took her back to my room and sang lullabies to her over and over until my voice was hoarse. As if as long as I kept singing like this, Nanan would just fall asleep, and wake up when she had slept enough. My mother-in-law sent someone to check on me. Upon seeing my disheveled state, she frowned and covered her nose and mouth. With you looking like this, what's the difference between you and a slovenly village woman? A mere girl, unable to carry on the Gu family line. So what if she's dead? She even sent people to snatch Nanan away. Whoever dared, I would go mad. Whoever wanted to touch Nanan, I would bite them. Upon hearing the news of Nanan's death, Zhu Yanzhou abandoned an important meeting and rushed to comfort me. Momo, no one wanted to see Nanan die. But I've asked the doctor, and Nanan wasn't killed by anyone. She truly died of a sudden illness. It was too abrupt. She passed away in her sleep. His face was filled with pain, yet his eyes were red as he held me and offered comfort. Being too sad will harm your body. I promise you, we will have a third child, okay? I was utterly despairing and coldly pushed him away. Impossible. As I cried, I suddenly burst into despairing laughter. Zhu Yanzhou, all 4 of them are carrying your children. Your Zhuyu family is flourishing, but my only daughter is dead. I will find out who killed my Nanan. Zhu Yanzhou frowned, thinking I was being unreasonable. Seeing my frantic and deranged state, he only sat in the courtyard for a short while before leaving in a hurry. That night, as I was dressing Nanan in her little burial clothes, I heard ambiguous sounds of a man and a woman from next door. Mr. Zhu, did you miss me? It was Xiaozu's voice. My fingernails dug deep into my palm, drawing blood, yet I felt no pain. My daughter had just died, and Zhu Yanzhou had the nerve to be entangled with another woman. I set up a small mourning hall for Nanan, kept vigil for her, and recited scriptures for her. I hope she can be reborn into a good family in her next life, and never find a useless mother like me again. The next day, I searched the entire seaside villa, but I couldn't find Nanan anywhere. From afar I heard a pack of dogs barking. This is the seaside, where would dogs come from? My heart pounded and I rushed towards the source of the sound. Seeing the scene before me, my eyes widened and I let out a roar. No! Lin Chu was holding Nanan's swaddling clothes and threw them into the dog pen. I rushed over desperately, trying to block it with my body, but it was too late. I watched as the tiny burial clothes were torn to shreds. My vision went black and I fainted. When I woke up, Lin Chu was speaking to me in a sarcastic tone by my ear. President Su, please don't blame me. I am merely following the orders of old Madame Zhu. She found the stillborn child inauspicious, believing it would bring bad luck to the Zhu family's fortune. That's why I threw away that swaddling cloth, the one tainted with bad luck, to get rid of it. My eyes welled up, and I clutched the knife hidden beneath my pillow, wishing I could fight her right then and there. But Zhu Yanzhou grabbed my wrist. Momo, you've been through a shock, you need to rest. He brought me a bowl of pitch-black medicinal soup and forced me to drink it. I flung it away. I'm not sick. Zhu Yanzhou, your mother killed my Nanan, and you won't even let go of the clothes she left behind. I won't let you go. His face turned ashen, his brows furrowed tightly. Suqianmo, I know you're grieving the loss of your daughter, but that doesn't give you the right to lash out at others. While my mother may prefer grandsons, it was for the sake of our family's continuation and lineage. How can you possibly cast such aspersions on her? As if realizing his words had been too harsh, Zhu Yanzhou softened his tone. You should rest well. I'll come see you again tonight. But before evening arrived, another death occurred in the Zhu family. Ah, someone's dead. The servant attending to the matriarch, just about to wake her for dinner, found her dead in her bedroom, blood streaming from her 7 orifices. In no time, the news spread throughout the Gu household. I hadn't slept for days, and was burning paper money for Nanan at the morning hall when the door was suddenly kicked open by Zhu Yanzhou in a rage. His eyes bloodshot, he lunged forward and fiercely choked my neck. Suqianmo, how could you be so vicious? I stared at him like a dazed puppet. I can't understand what's so wicked about me. If I were even a little bit wicked, my Nanan wouldn't have died such a tragic death. My mom is right. If I had known this would happen, I should have divorced you earlier and sent you back to the Sioux family. If I had done this earlier, my mom wouldn't have been poisoned and killed by you today. I froze and sarcastically asked, "Your mother is dead? What a coincidence this truly is." "You're still pretending." Ju Yanzhou's tears streamed down his face. He clutched me tightly. His eyes filled with such pain that he looked as if he wanted to devour me alive. "Everyone heard what you said. You hate us. You said you wouldn't let me and my mother go. And it just so happens that my mother died today. Do you dare say you didn't poison her?" I suddenly felt like laughing. Everyone knew that only I had a motive to kill my mother-in-law. She detested me for giving birth to a daughter. And then Nanan died under mysterious circumstances. She was the one who ordered her assistant to throw her daughter's swaddling clothes into the dog pen. Only I had the motive to kill. But I really didn't do it. At first I just wanted a divorce and to take my daughter back to the Sioux family. But now that my daughter is dead, I have no will to live. How could I have killed my mother-in-law? Seeing my silence, Ju Yanzhou was completely disappointed in me. He stared at me and spoke coldly. "Send a few bodyguards over. Su Qianmo's daughter is dead, and she's been stimulated and is mentally unstable. From today onwards she will be confined to the Seaview Villa, and cannot leave without my permission." After I was confined, all the servants in the Ju family were discussing me with unpleasant words. They said that I looked presentable on the outside, but actually had a vicious heart. "What, Miss Su? She's just an ungrateful wretch. She could even harm her mother-in-law to death. She should have been arrested by the police long ago and shot dead. They even fed me dog food." I just listened indifferently, occasionally feeling like laughing. Only one person came to see me. Zhou Ying, hiding 2 warm steamed buns in her arms, avoided the servants and secretly handed them to me. "President Su, I know the old madam was definitely not poisoned by you. Please hold on for a few more days. I'm currently looking for evidence. And once I find it, I will go tell President Jiyu and clear your name." My eyes reddened as I looked at her. "I didn't expect you to still come and help me." I took out a matching knot from my waist and handed it to her. "Zhou Ying, can you do me a favor? Go to the Say Entertainment Club and give this Tong Shinji to the boss there. Just say Su Qianmo regrets it." Zhou Ying bit her lower lip and nodded solemnly. Watching her leave, I felt a sense of relief. Zhou Ying is kind and emotionally intelligent, the eldest sister. Xia Zhu is clever and full of mischievous ideas. Lin Chu is vain and wants to climb to a high position. Dong Zhaozhao is timid and lacks her own opinions, always listening to her sisters. I thought that the moment they became pregnant, they had already decided to betray me for their own future and seek glory. Fortunately, at least one of them still remembers my kindness. For several days, Ju Yanzhou did not come to see me. I heard he drowned himself in alcohol at the bar. These days I've been taking turns spending the night in the rooms of my 4 female assistants, acting like a petty emperor. One night as I was sleeping, I was suddenly choked awake by a thick cloud of smoke. Blazing flames erupted outside my door. I rushed out and saw a furtive figure. It was Xia Zhu. She wanted to burn me to death. But my body was too weak, and with a hard push from her, I fell back into the room. She sneered at me, silhouetted against the light. "Su Qianmo, isn't it just that you were born into a better family? As the eldest daughter of the Su family, the most prominent one, you had everything you wanted. We 4 sisters have worked for you all these years. Even if we didn't have merit, we certainly had our hard work, didn't we? It's just a shame you were so heartless back then, unable to tolerate the 4 of us sisters. So now we can't tolerate you either. Once tonight passes, this great fire will burn this place down to nothing but ashes. Everyone will think you couldn't bear it and committed suicide by setting the fire yourself. Once I give birth to the child, I'll be Mrs. Gu, HAHA. The thick smoke made me cough uncontrollably. When Xia Zhu left, she locked the door again. I wanted to open the window to escape. Unfortunately, the fire was too intense and I was already surrounded by flames. I tried every possible way to escape, but nothing worked. Seeing the roof beam scorched and about to fall on me, I dug my fingernails deep into my palms. Could it be that I was truly going to die here? The thick, acrid smoke made my eyes water. My throat felt like it would cough up blood, and my consciousness began to fade. Just then, the door was kicked open. Someone rushed in from the firelight, wrapped in a blanket. Their voice hoarse and urgent. "Kianmo, I'm late." The man's deep voice sounded in my ear. I couldn't see his face, but he felt incredibly familiar. "Be careful," an urgent voice immediately came. The next second, Piayanchi lunged over to shield me, a muffled groan escaping his lips. A roof beam fell, hitting his back with fire. "Momo, don't sleep, hold on, I'll take you away right now." He gritted his teeth and scooped me up around the waist, rushing out of the inferno. After finally breaking free from the Jew family's residence, Piayanchi shoved me into the black Rolls-Royce waiting outside the gate and then passed out. Only then did I notice the large burnt hole in the back of his clothes, revealing a bloody, winding wound. Even the private doctor in the back seat of the car gasped. "Quickly help young Master Pei up, I need to examine him." The driver drove us to the outskirts. "I've been here once." That was the private residence of Piayanchi, the crown prince of the Beijing circle. Unexpectedly, Piayanchi had been in a coma all night. When he opened his eyes and saw me, his face was pale, but he still managed a weak smile. "Kianmo, I'm relieved as long as you're okay." I opened my mouth but couldn't utter a word, only my eyes reddened. Many years have passed, but Piayanchi is still as gentle and kind as I remember. Although he is the crown prince of the capital's elite, no one knows that he suffered from autism as a child. He refused to communicate with the world, shutting himself away in a corner. The other children even deliberately bullied him. I was the only one protecting him. I thought that this time, after I rejected him and chose Ju Yanzhou for the marriage alliance, he would be angry and never speak to me again. But I never expected that upon seeing the matching love knot, he would still resolutely come to my rescue. I bowed deeply and earnestly towards him. "Piayanchi, if it weren't for you today, I would be dead. Thank you." Piayanchi panicked and quickly got up to help me. But his movements were too large and pulled at his wound, causing him to hiss in pain. "Don't move around." I steadied him. Piayanchi smiled gently and patted my hand. "Kianmo, why are you still so serious? Just like when you were a child." "I'm a man, this little injury is nothing." "On the contrary, you." Piayanchi glanced at me with concern. "Someone from the Jew family wants to silence you and deliberately set this fire. Even if we call the police, the investigation will take time. It's no longer safe for you to stay here. I've already sent people to throw a mannequin into the inferno, faking the evidence of you being burned to death. If you're willing to go back, I'll have someone escort you back to the Su family right now." "Kianmo," he called my name softly. "And give me back that love knot. Return it to its rightful owner." My fingertip rubbed against the love knot. The love knot I had given to Zhou Ying was this very one. This was the token of love Piayanchi had personally given me when our two families decided to arrange a marriage. I know the Night Entertainment Club. It's an establishment under Piayanchi's name. And it was also the meeting place we agreed upon back then. Originally I intended to leave, to take Nanan and return to the Su family, to simply walk away. But now I've changed my mind. I'm not going back, young Master Pei. Piayanchi looked at me with some surprise. "Why? Didn't you say you wanted to go back? I looked up and gently interrupted him. "My daughter is dead, and her death was unclear. Now I've almost been killed alive. Nothing has been investigated yet, and I can't swallow this injustice." "Piayanchi, don't you also hate cowards? Just like you taught me when I was little, face difficulties head on instead of backing down." Piayanchi's eyes held a newfound admiration. "So what do you plan to do next?" I looked at him silently. "If I remember correctly, you haven't married yet. Nor have you agreed to your family's reasons. I have a question for you. Are you still willing to marry me?" Upon hearing this, Piayanchi's head snapped up, his eyes flickering with disbelief as he stared at me. "You ... You single quotes re not joking?" I nodded. "If you're not happy about it, you can consider this a transaction. Once I've figured all this out, I'll announce that we're just in a fake marriage. I can't just retreat back to the Su family. I want revenge for my daughter." But the Jew family was clearly no longer a place I could stay. I needed an identity that would be more advantageous to me. Looking across the entire capital, allying with the Pei family was the most beneficial for me. We remained in silence and I patiently awaited a response. Suddenly, Piayanchi took my hand. I am willing to marry you. Whether it's a transaction or not, if you need me, I won't refuse. This is a very weighty promise. I am also deeply grateful and will keep it in my heart. The next day, dawn broke. Outside the Jew family's detached seaside villa, a crowd of onlookers had gathered, pointing and chattering at the ruins that had been consumed by fire. What a shame. Such a beautiful villa, reduced to this. The people inside must have already turned to ash. I heard that the person staying here last night was actually the Jew corporation's wife. What? You mean Su Qianmo from the Su family? She was so beautiful. I never expected such a tragic fate for such a lovely woman. Suddenly the crowd was violently pushed aside. Zhu Yanzhou, his face deathly pale, stumbled forward. Qianmo. Upon seeing the charred, unrecognizable female corpse, he lost his footing and fell to the ground. Suddenly she burst into tears, unable to speak. Everyone marveled at how deeply devoted Zhu Yangzhou was. Even though Madame Zhu had poisoned her mother-in-law, Zhu Yangzhou had only imprisoned her. Now a fire had burned her to death. Yet, President Zhu was inconsolable with grief. Wearing a mask and sunglasses, I stood in the crowd, observing the scene with cold eyes. Everyone thought Zhu Yangzhou was overcome with grief. Yet no one noticed the fleeting smile that crossed his lips. Upon returning to the Zhu family residence, Zhu Yangzhou tore off his hypocritical mask and stopped pretending altogether. Are the bodies all taken care of? He spoke as casually as if he were dealing with a stray cat or dog. Yes. After examination, the female corpse burned to ashes in the detached villa was indeed the madam. We also found this. The servant handed over a bracelet. Zhu Yanzhou merely cast a cold glance, not reaching out to take it, as if it were dirty. Throw it away. He recognized the bracelet. It was one he had personally made for me after we were married. Back then he'd said he didn't have much money, so he could only make a silver bracelet himself. He promised that once he was wealthy, he would buy me all the luxury goods in the entire mall. Everyone believed that President Zhu was deeply devoted, completely unaware that he was the very instigator of that fire. Back at the private residence, Piayanchi indeed had a letter brought. Momo, your guess was spot on. That big fire was indeed set by Zhu Yanzhou, with Xiaozu's help. After hearing my analysis, Piayanchi, taking advantage of Zhu Yanzhou's absence from the Zhu family, had someone kidnap Dong Zhaozhao while she was out. Dong Zhaozhao was the most timid and fearful, especially of pain. A little scare, and she'd confess everything. The one who killed my daughter Nainan was Xiaozu. She had already gotten together with Zhu Yangzhou. The fire she set to my room that day. She swore that once I was reduced to ashes, she would become Mrs. Zhu. At the time, I found it baffling to hear this, as all four of them were pregnant, and it was still unknown whether the children they would bear would be boys or girls. How could she be so certain that she would be Mrs. Zhu? After much thought, there was only one most likely possibility. That was because Zhu Yanzhou had made a promise to her before. As long as she obediently betrays me, I will give her the status and glory of Mrs. Zhu. I thought she had always been smart, but I didn't expect her to be so foolish in the face of a man's schemes and calculations, including the final move of setting me on fire. It was also one of Zhu Yanzhou's schemes. 7 days passed in the blink of an eye. Zhu Yanzhou, certain that I had perished in the inferno, arranged for my burial and handled the funeral arrangements that very day, as a token of his mourning for his deceased wife. 2 weeks later, Zhu Yanzhou held a grand banquet at the old Zhu family mansion, marrying Dong Zhaozhao as his new wife. The news reached my ears, and I was somewhat surprised. What about Shuazu and Lin Chu? They always wanted to be Mrs. Zhu. Could they stand this? Piayanchi glanced at me with some pity, hesitating to speak. Lin Chu is already dead. I heard that she insisted on going out for hot pot in the middle of the night. As a result, when the car was driving on the Cross River Bridge, an accident occurred, the car exploded, and it fell into the sea. As for Xiaozu, one night she drank too much and fell from the rooftop. With a clang, the teacup in my hand suddenly dropped to the floor, shattering into pieces. Realizing what had happened, I fumbled and bent down to pick it up, only to cut my finger. I'll do it. Pianchi frowned and stopped me, then got some gauze to bandage my finger. I knew you'd be shocked when you heard the news. Who did it? Ju-Yonjo. I closed my eyes. Perhaps this question didn't even need to be asked. Shiazu was intelligent, Lin Chu was vain. The two of them had always been unwilling to settle for mediocrity, and would surely fight tooth and nail for the position of Mrs. Ju. And Ju-Yonjo detested seeing others fight. He himself had clawed his way up from the bottom, possessing a strong drive to succeed. Yet he was also sensitive, suspicious, and insecure. In fact, I saw at the moment he decided to take in the 4 female assistants. I could tell. His attitude towards Dong Zhaozhao was different from how he treated everyone else. Every time his gaze fell upon Dong Zhaozhao, it was incredibly gentle. Therefore his desire to marry Dong Zhaozhao was also within expectations. As for Zhou Ying, she had always been knowledgeable, sensible, emotionally intelligent, and knew when to advance and when to retreat. She had also always been content with her lot, never coveting what did not belong to her. This is how she was spared her life. It was just a pity that the child in her womb couldn't be saved, and Ju-Yonjo's men forcibly took her to the hospital to have an abortion. Momo? Pia Yanchi looked at me. When do you think is the most suitable time for our wedding? Tomorrow? I clenched my fists. Pia Yanchi seemed a little nervous, and he glanced at me again, cautiously. Are you sure? I nodded. He said, okay, no matter what happens tomorrow, I'll protect you and make sure you don't get hurt. The next day, the wedding of the crown prince of the capital's elite circle invited more than half of the influential figures from the golden circle to attend. Everyone was very curious. What kind of girl would make Pianchi, who has been alone for so many years, agree to a marriage alliance and step into matrimony? Before I even made my entrance, they had already gathered in a huddle, looking at me with curiosity. Meeting everyone's expectant gazes, I slowly walked out, holding the hem of my wedding dress. With great amusement, I watched the smiles on their faces gradually freeze, then change. Especially Ju-Yonjo. He looked at me as if he had seen a ghost, recoiling in terror. No, this is impossible. How can you look exactly like Sukianmo? Sukianmo died in the sea of fire. How could she possibly be alive and well? Tell me, who on earth sent you to have plastic surgery to look like Sukianmo, to deceive young Master Pei? Fueled by alcohol, Ju-Yonjo even picked up a fruit knife and pressed it firmly against my lower abdomen. Young Master Pei, this woman is definitely up to something. She's not Sukianmo. Try and touch her, I dare you. Without a word, Pianchi knocked the fruit knife away and shielded me tightly behind him. Ju-Yonjo, why are you so guilty? Could it be that you were really the one who set the fire at the seaside villa back then? The rumors online are true. Then, you killed your wife? Before this, I had specifically asked Pianchi to bribe online trolls to create a stir. Now Ju-Yonjo let out 2 cold laughs, suddenly displaying an air of nonchalance. And what can you do to me if I say yes? His gaze gradually took on a dangerous aura as he shook the stock certificate in his hand. Pianchi, do you really still think you're the crown prince of the Beijing circle like before? You're wrong. It was me who used business warfare to swallow up most of the industries under your name. You're still the crown prince of bullshit. Now, your status isn't even worthy of carrying my shoes. As soon as the words fell, the scene exploded. They were guests invited by Pianchi in the first place. At this moment, they all pointed at Ju-Yonjo and cursed. Ju-Yonjo, you really have no scruples. You relied on women to get ahead back then, and now you're biting the hand that feeds you. Everyone knows you're involved in shady businesses, making money fast, earning ill-gotten gains. Aren't you afraid of retribution? Ju-Yonjo burst into laughter as if he'd heard a joke. So what? I'm the richest man in Beijing now. Why, it's only you rich second-generation heirs who can swagger around in your circles, while people like me who started from scratch and built everything ourselves, are looked down upon by you. Today I will show all of you that I, Ju-Yonjo, am more capable than any of you. Women, family, love, children, these are merely sacrifices that must be made on the path to success. Ju-Yonjo revealed his true colors, no longer bothering to pretend. I stared at him coldly. Sensing my gaze, Ju Yanzhou's smile deepened. Sukyeonmo, I didn't expect you to be so clever, to think of faking your death to escape. I almost fell for it. Why? I asked him coldly. The reason I staged this whole scene was precisely because I wanted to hear him say the answer himself. Despite being married for all these years, he had always acted as if he adored me. He said he loved me to the bone. But why would they turn around and kill me and my daughter without batting an eye? Ju Yanzhou seemed to hear a joke. Love? A mere pretense, and you actually believe it. Do you know what I hate most about you, Sukyeonmo? It's that self-righteous look on your face, that face itself. His gritted teeth were filled with hatred, as if I had never known him. Only then did I belatedly understand. Ju Yanzhou had never been willing to be suppressed by me as President Su. As long as I existed, he would forever be that man in the circle who relied on a woman. As funding of 200 million to rise, a man who ate soft rice, simply because I had once shown him kindness, even if his heart had long strayed. He wouldn't dare to rashly bring up divorce with me, and still had to pretend to love me deeply. In fact, he had long set his sights on my assistant Dong Zhao Zhao. But because of my one sentence, I will never tolerate betrayal. He could only watch from the sidelines. It wasn't someone else who drugged him in the first place. To put me in my place, he took the aphrodisiac himself back then. He deliberately used such vile means to turn the four assistants against each other. Using their hands, he killed my daughter and then tarnished my reputation. I couldn't help but curse him. You're a beast. To frame me, you'd even poison your own mother to death? Ju Yanzhou sneered. A man without ruthlessness is no man at all. My mother was just a village woman, obsessed with favoring sons and continuing the family line. What else could she possibly understand? She simply couldn't understand that what I wanted wasn't about continuing the family line at all. What I wanted was a leap in class, to climb to the very top by any means necessary. To reach the highest position, some sacrifices are inevitable, so this is perfectly normal. A chill ran through my heart, thinking that the person I had shared a bed with all these years was actually such a beast in human clothing. I felt a surge of fear. Ju Yanzhou, you are truly vicious, a beast. But your freedom won't last much longer. Ju Yanzhou didn't believe a word, a mocking smile playing on his lips. Then today, I'll show you just how formidable I am. He waved his hand and a group of bodyguards surrounded us. Peiyonchi remained completely unfazed. Ju Yanzhou, are you sure you want to show off here? I've disliked you for a long time, Peiyonchi. Without your father, without the backing of the Beijing elite, what do you think you are? Guards, get him. The bodyguards were about to step forward when they suddenly recoiled in terror like mice. Ju Yanzhou frowned and turned back to look, his face instantly paling. A group of SWAT officers rushed over and surrounded him. Don't move. Ju Yanzhou forced a calm demeanor. Officer, I haven't broken any laws. What right do you have to arrest me? The leading officer let out a cold laugh. Then you'll come with us. Someone reported you for murder. You have several lives on your hands. Ju Yanzhou's face began to pale. Before he could speak, the officer added, oh, and it also involves economic crimes. As he was handcuffed and put into the police car, Ju Yanzhou looked back in disbelief, staring intently at me. Sukyeonmo, is this your doing? I raised an eyebrow at him and mouthed the words, it's me. That day, I ran into Jo Ying while shopping, and she also realized I wasn't dead. I gave her my address outside the city, telling her she could come to me any time if things became unbearable at the Ju family's. She did come to find me later, but I never expected Jo Ying, beaten half to death, came staggering to me, spitting blood, to tell me the truth. President Su, this was all Ju Yanzhou's scheme. She ran to warn me, shoving a blood-stained USB drive into my hand. He poisoned him to death, and he killed the young lady too. Even the deaths of Xia Zhu and Lin Chu are inextricably linked to him. Mr. Su, if I had a chance to do it all over again, I would never betray you. Only before her death did Jo Ying realize that she and her three sisters had been driven apart. She regretted apologizing to me even as she was dying. I'm sorry, President Su, please forgive me. A tear fell from Jo Ying's face. At the same time, her hands fell limply, but her eyes remained open in death. I went mad, calling for an ambulance. But the private doctor sighed regretfully after examining her. Her internal organs were shattered. There was no saving her. My eyes reddened, and I raised my hand to close her eyes for her. Now that he knew all of this, Ju Yanzhou's face turned ashen. He knew that with everything exposed, the law's judgment awaited him. Indeed, there was the USB drive evidence Zhou Ying provided me. Ju Yangzhou was successfully sentenced to death, with the execution by firing squad to take place 7 days later. I specifically went to witness the execution. Zhu Yangzhou had nothing, and only when he knew he was dying did he finally panic, shedding tears of regret. I'm sorry, it was I who strayed. Momo, I'm sorry. As for Dong Zhaozhao, she knew about Zhu Yanzhou's illegal dealings, and was afraid of implicating herself. Half of that evidence was also collected by her. Zhu Yanzhou probably never imagined, even on his deathbed, that Dong Zhaozhao, whom he considered docile and therefore never guarded against Dot, had actually betrayed him. Having avenged my daughter, I can finally return to the Su family with peace of mind. When Peiyanqi saw me off, he seemed to have something to say but hesitated, and I knew he wanted me to stay, yet he never voiced it, because he would always respect my decision. Qian Mo, have a safe journey. Write to me often. His voice was gentle, and he added a few more words of instruction. I turned back and smiled at him. Perhaps when spring arrives and the flowers bloom, I will return. No longer a marriage of convenience. Instead, he returned as Mr. Su, as a partner in the business world.